welcome to Beyond the Exposition, the podcast for the website of the very same name. Yes, we are the podcast that some say are becoming the little podcast that could. With me!
Hey Don, how are you?
As usual, you're jumping the gun. This is Nico. People have been asking why we've been away for a number of weeks. We went into hiding after the Gomorrah edition.
Exactly, we were afraid that something could happen to us.
We weren't playing FIFA at all. It was just a coincidence that FIFA came out at the exact same time when we recorded our last podcast and disappeared a month ago.
That's just called bad timing.
We were hiding. Our lives were in danger. Nico's family were in danger. Mine weren't. Matthew, you can't get me here.
Don, for today, we have Pride and Glory from your friend Colin.
Colin, the Farler. Yeah, we've got him. Last week we had some over-the-top Italian thing. Now we've got some over-the-top Irish thing.
Irish/US.
And we also have a special gift for one of our listeners. One of the films today is specially reviewed for Richie, an avid listener of the show.
Was he from Liverpool, eh?
Indeed, he's a Scouse. The film is
Of Time and City, a beautiful portrait about Liverpool by Terence Davies.
It's an interesting little number, and we've also got on Stuff We Like Now You Must Like Too.
The Frenchman for excellence, Francois Truffaut with his 400 blows.
Classical cinema.
And here we go with our first movie reviewed, Don. Pride and Glory.
Yes.
Directed by
A man.
Gavin O'Connor, with a wonderful cast such as John Voight,
Yeah, John Voight,
Colin Farrell,
the Farler, and
Edward Norton.
Eddie Norton.
Great actor.
Mr. Tied to Contracts.
What's your opinion about this movie, Don?
It's a hard one to call. It's
Cops.
It's the best Irish cop film of the year. I mean, it's not going up against The Departed or anything this year, so it's got a chance of being it.
I want to go so high
Name
on
the
the
other
sky.
Irish cop movie of the year.
I don't know, In Bruges.
They weren't cops.
Yeah, sorry.
They murdered children.
There was a wonderful movie about escape from a jail. That was an English movie with Irish actors.
Shot in an Irish jail.
Exactly.
It was a weird one. The Escapists.
The Escapists.
Yeah.
So, director of this movie is Gavin O'Connor, Don. He basically was dealing mainly with the TV stuff until this movie.
Does it show?
Do you think, yeah?
It slightly does indeed.
I think that the movie is pretty middle average in terms of, cop-wise stories, but I I do appreciate the acting that we got in, maybe because I'm a big fan of Eddie Norton, and then also because I think that with this movie, definitely Uncle Colin Farrell established himself as a Hollywood star. No? What do you think?
Are you trying to say that the man who's never had a hit in his life, that is suddenly standing to him? He can keep on going. He can keep on getting big films with big actors without having a hit.
Definitely.
We hand it to you, Colin.
I think that he really delivered a good
He
interpretation.
had one of the scariest moments I've seen in cinema for a long time. The bit
Really?
with the iron.
And then basically...
Nick's not even mentioning it. It was that severe. It's when you realise he's the bad guy.
yeah.
It's the level of how bad he can go. There was women in the cinema screaming, and I've never heard people screaming like it even in horrors.
I know.
Pretty extreme.
I went there in a...
Really took me off guard. We can tell you the lead up to it. He punched a woman and stole a baby out of someone's arms. It's what he did later. Wish the iron.
Okay, we say that in terms of acting was a great movie, good cops movie, but come on. The scene when the Eddie and Colin tried to set up the deal and he came in the pub and say, police, everybody has to leave right now.
Yes, this is something that bothers me. And indeed, it was a good Irish film that represented Irish people very well up to this point. Two men walk into a bar. They both have guns. They decided, since they're Irish, they'll settle the score like real Irish working men, put down their guns and their badges and beat the crap out of each other. Now, it's almost saying that Irish guys have such a fear of showing love and affection for another man that we can only do it through beating the crap out of another person when their fists touch. The only time two men will ever meet and show love and affection for each other.
There we go.
That's why it was done. That's the only way we can show love. And it was love because he could have shot him. But what happened to one of the characters after that scene was interesting.
Absolutely, but we
How
won't
the
give away.
character was dealt with was...
But we won't give away.
It showed pride and glory and guts.
Definitely, and guts for all these Irish people, because we have to remind ourselves that the movie it's set up in an Irish context, no? The context is Irish. A family is.
It's about cops.
A family full of cops.
And you see, cops in New York tend to be Irish in general, and that Irish familyness has seemed to spread over into the cops. So they support each other. They're like brothers.
Absolutely, because
brothers of the Shield.
There is John Boyd, who basically is the
Papa Smurf.
Yeah, basically.
Boys in Blue.
He's an officer himself. He would love to have all his sons, his children, the greatest cops in New York.
He does.
And he does. He doesn't, because obviously,
To an extent, to something that happened 2 years ago. That's alluded to a lot in the film, but it's never really explained properly till the end, and you're just going, oh, is that it?
Then this Irish setup leads in a new one. As you said, the Irish cops were predominant. Maybe it's still now, but 20, 30 years ago was really, their moment. But now there's these Latinos.
There's a new family moving in.
Yeah, taking over.
These Latinos are moving into both the police and the criminals, much like the Irish, which I must bring up a point. There's something that bothers me about all these Irish films and cop shows that have been happening lately. There's usually a family. One member of the family's good and the other member of the family's bad. If that's the case, every Irish family must have an even number of male children and one sister to balance it out and show them the error of their ways.
Exactly.
It's seen in Brotherhood at the moment, and the Black Donnellys, and there's many more examples like it.
The bad, the good, wherein the bad, the good, it's not possible really to, divide. Everything is merging.
But Farrell was a family man. That brought up his good points.
Yeah, but this side of the movie reminded to me too closely something else. I'm talking about The Wire. In my opinion, seems as a glumpsy version of an episode of The Wire. Although I do recognize that The Wire is different.
The film was 2 hours and a half long. That means it was 2.5 episodes of The Wire.
Whatever.
The Wire, the 13-hour long film.
It depends how you watch a series of The Wire.
One thing that raises this film above average, because
in your opinion, though,
it isn't that bad, Nick. Nick saw it one day before I did, and he rang me up and said, "It's dreadful. I don't want to do this. Maybe you could put some Irish spin in it." I can't really. I'm not that patriotic. But I went into it with fierce low expectations, thinking this is going to be awful. How am I going to sit through this? And it wasn't bad. It's worth a go, I think. And the main thing that makes it worth a go is the script.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean,
we've got to say that Joe Carnahan and Gavin, whatever, the director man,
Gavin O'Connor.
It was extremely hard to write because of all the twists and the way some characters, their storyline would shut down because they themselves are caught in a catch-22. So they are kind of sidelined for a bit and a new character would emerge. And then it would all entangle again in the end, as it happens to do.
I would agree with yourself.
Usually in a fist fight.
I would agree with your point of view. In terms of story-wise, the script was really well written. Fine, it's true. But originality?
The problem is there's nothing new in it.
Where is gone?
Irish family thing. It was a good script, well acted, nothing new whatsoever.
And then I would stop here.
The title of this film was like one of Varro's Hollywood historical blockbusters, like something he'd roar out for pride and glory.
Glory.
He did roar out glory in Alexander, and it was the worst delivered line I ever heard.
What do you think was nice, the ham and turkey on Christmas Day?
Why are you saying that with a smirk? That's your traditional Irish meal according to Hollywood films. The whole Christmas dinner scene was improvised.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
The whole thing. Why? Because they had to write everything else. It was rather complex, the script, so there was a scene that basically done nothing. But as I said, you actors, write it yourselves. Talk about the traditional Irish meal on the table. One good thing in the film as well, the music. For once, an Irish-American film with no really bad techno remix of traditional Irish music, except for when the fist fight happened.
But
why did that fist fight have to happen? And why does Edward Norton always have to play like this weak guy and he's lost his way?
Definitely.
And then Brad Pitt will show up and teach him how to fight, and then it'll turn out that he was Brad Pitt all along.
Anyway, besides this your bitter grief, we can say that people out there still have time to go and see it, no? Because
go see it. Yeah, if you're Irish, come into the parlour, sit down, check out this film. It's not that bad.
And go to eat a bit of turkey and ham.
Yeah, for Christmas. Save it for Christmas. This film, it's not a Gomorrah, it's not The Wire, it's something to sit down and watch at Christmas and feel all patriotic. Then you turn to your father and brothers, and instead of hugging each other, you'll beat the crap out of each other and show your love through punches.
And a pint of Guinness.
Racist. Now we have Nick's preferred section, the little art house thing. We've got a film that is pretty much
indeed.
a poem with a video. It is Sex and the City.
No, come on, no.
Of Time and the City. And when Nick was bringing me to it, I was going, why is he doing this? Is this some sort of joke? It's going to be out on DVD in a few weeks anyway. We don't need to go see this. What's Kerry Bradshaw going to be doing? What, it's set in Liverpool?
Yeah.
She won't like
Directed
it.
by
Full of scousers.
Terence Davis.
Hey, what?
Terence Davis.
What does he do then?
He's an English director.
From Liverpool, is it?
Yeah, he is...
I would never have got that from the film whatsoever.
He made a documentary about his birthplace, Liverpool.
Which is currently one of the 2 European capital cultures. Back when Cork had it, there was only one capital culture every year.
In fact, I read it a bit, the movie.
Why are you sidetracking? I'm talking about Cork here. We didn't need to make a film because it wouldn't have been that long, first of all. This was a 74-minute film.
77, according
it
to the...
It felt like 2.5 hours. It's a good movie, but there's some bits you don't need, and it would be a grand 20-minute TV program.
At the beginning, I had the problem to classify it, because I went there with different expectations. To be honest, I thought...
What did you think it was going to be?
I thought we were going to see a movie. Instead, it's a documentary.
It pretty much was somebody's slideshow. We had to pay, €10 for somebody's slideshow?
I did really appreciate one point of the film. I don't know if you will agree on it. Basically...
Probably not. Was it the middle?
No, it's overall that the movie, although it's a documentary about Liverpool from a poetic point of view, this poetic point of view, it's not a cultural point of view on the city, rather a personal point of view of the man who... One
man's memories of the past.
He's giving out with all, the transformation of this society in Liverpool.
Its loss of culture, but its gain of richness. It travels from when he was young to the present day. As each period went by, he seemed to get more depressed about the outlook of the city, even though things were improving. He mentions that it was one of Europe's biggest slums at the time, before the towers were set up.
Ah, yeah.
I can see where he's going about, the setting up of the towers brought down community spirit. It's him growing old is the problem. He alludes to this, that this is his problem, and not the city as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's how he feels. Nearing the end, which I hope to God was the end, but it turned out not to be. There was another 17-20 minutes to go. He shows people aging, he goes to the elderly. Then all of a sudden, he starts showing young people, which means that their idea of ideal happiness will be the present day. They will have no memory of the past. So for them, things will be good today, which is a time that he hates.
I would love just to place
But then he goes back to the old people, and then back in time, he starts all over again. It's too much.
I would love to...
Longest 74-minute film we ever liked.
I would love to place an insert on the point about the elderly people. There is a wonderful shot when he shot an aged man walking...
He didn't shoot him, he filmed him.
There was this aged man walking on the seafront in Liverpool. It was amazing because you had the impression that the sea was overwhelming him and he was struggling while he was walking.
His time was up soon.
Yeah,
someone may shoot him. He is in Liverpool. He better get out of there.
No, I think...
and the next scene...
You are taking away poetry from the shot, but...
No, I'm adding my own effing poetry to it.
There was something between nature and this man.
Yeah, but then there was...
Which was going on.
Society and technology in this man. As the next scene shows him going up an escalator that is outdoors. How beautiful was that? When he passes up without moving. His stairway to heaven. In his day, that would have been witchcraft. Another way that it shows it is a man's impressions, his slideshow of the city, is the fact that he leaves out Liverpool FC and he pretty much calls the Beatles a bunch of scamps and ignores them
Fair
for the
play.
rest of the
Fair
film.
I agree with them.
What?
Huh?
You're in Ireland now, boy. You respect our national heritage of England's national heritage. I thought the Beatles were big everywhere. Surely they're big in Italy.
Ah, for sure, yeah.
Take it back.
I won't.
Take it back and I'll apologise about Gomorrah.
I won't.
Alright, fine. I'm not responding to that because that's insulting my heritage
Okay.
somehow.
One thing I hated of the movie, you know that I hate in general this thing.
He hates my job. He hates voiceovers.
I really found really heavy that for all the way through the movie there was this voiceover. Just let the images speak for themselves. You don't need to,
But
I know
he wasn't necessarily
there were
describing what's happening in the images. A lot of it was a poem. Like
he
at the
was
start.
just acting poems. Yeah, it's fine, but just leave them out for a little while, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you only heard archive footage twice.
In fact, it worked
And
perfectly.
Nick's eyes lit up when those poor old people started talking. He was going,
Basically, my bones were lifting from the chair.
interesting phrase. What is that in Italian?
Uh,
You've made up a new phrase.
I made up, yeah, I made up.
You're now welcome in our society. You've known you've conquered a language when you're breaking its rules.
Really?
Yeah, I like fashion. The best thing about our trip to the cinema, we usually get to see one of the films we review each week together. And this time, Nick disappeared for a while. And while Nick was gone...
I was just watching another movie. I was just walking towards a new building.
That doesn't matter. My story is a lot better than you running while you could have taken the tram. Like every normal person. I met Brendan Gleeson, the wonderful Irish actor who appears in many films such as In Bruges, Breakfast on Pluto the General, and Hollywood films like Cold Mountain and Mission Impossible. Nice man, he's huge.
What did you say to him?
I pretty much said, nice to see you again, because I've met him a few times now, and he responds always the same way. He was
So basically, you didn't understand him.
I've no idea what the man says, and on screen he's pretty eloquent.
Did he talk Irish, English, which language?
He speaks English because no one speaks Irish.
It's not true in the West, they do.
No, they don't. That's
They
only
do
when
in the West.
Italians come along and they want to talk about the Italians behind their back. In summary, we found this film to be okay.
Poetic.
Long.
Somehow poetic.
No one likes to sit through a 74-minute poem.
Definitely, it's a movie that you will easily find a DVD or 12 o'clock on
Late
TV.
night BBC. It's just a hard one to take in because the first 20 minutes are awful.
But there are shots. There is a wonderful camera technique going on sometime.
It's beautiful. It's just hard to stomach. It takes a lot of your patience
It's worth
and effort.
seeing it, but I won't rush to go to see it.
It is the longest 74-minute film you'll ever see in your life. He could have ended it at 55. He should have ended at 55. All right, Nick, moving on. In a new section we like to call housekeeping, in which we deal with many of your questions, complaints, queries.
Basically, we will look after our listeners.
Our dear listeners.
Dear listeners, yeah.
Some we can't mention, but dear listeners. First of all, we'd like to thank a man from Rome.
Lorenzo Coletti. Ciao, Lorenzo.
Yes, I can't say her name, but Nick will do it on my behalf. I'll call you Larry.
No, Lori no, because it's a female name in Italy, so I would stick with Lorenzo.
What? Really?
Really?
All right, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo,
See,
yeah,
I
it's
got
perfect.
it right. There we
Yeah.
go. Thank you very much. He's a big fan. He's listened to all the podcasts and he's left us some emails.
Davvero grande. I would love to remind you where I met him. Wonderful place, wonderful landscape. Shetland Islands.
Shetland Islands.
Yeah, up north of Scotland. And I was completely scared because I was just attacked by
Scotlanders.
birds everywhere. And I was...
birds.
Yeah,
Alright.
I was going just to mess their nests. So to advise me to leave this little island, they just started to attack me. And when I was walking back to the land, I met Lorenzo. I felt stronger with him.
Wonderful. All right, if you want to be like Lorenzo,
Yeah.
leave us a comment on the post, or else you can now email us at our another new email address.
questions.bte@gmail.com.
All right, that's questions.bte@gmail.com. And as for our regular contributor, Richie, he asked us to review that little piece about Liverpool. He said it was going to be amazing.
Yeah, we will please him.
Yeah, by saying it wasn't so. But that's all we're going to do for you, Richie. Taken care of. We owe you nothing.
Ciao, Richie.
Make us a podcast. I would just like to mention our new sponsors, EA's FIFA. Can we review computer games? No. Nick is shaking his head. No, we can't.
No.
But if you're going to get one, you might as well get this one. Oh, our listeners can play us online on Xbox Live. Email us and we might set it up. And our final bit of listener content has come all the way from America, a place we thought we'd burnt all of our bridges with. It's from a Mr. B. Obama, and the question is directed to Nick. How the hell have you not managed to watch all the episodes of The Wire? And you're only on episode 4, isn't that right, Nick? And you've had it for 4 months?
Episode 5.
5 months now.
You're
on episode 5. 5 for 5 months. It's going to take you a year and a month to watch the whole season. He has said, he is a big fan of The Wire, by the way. This has come up in many interviews. He has said he has managed to run for president of America, basically president of the world, whether you like it or not. And he has managed to watch all The Wire. And his favourite character is Omar. Have you even come across Omar yet?
Not yet.
No, you haven't. One of the main characters. That's the end of that. Now, back to the films. And finally today, in Stuff We Like Now You Must Like Too, we've got a film which Nick will introduce because he can pronounce the name of the film, the director, and all the actors in it, and I can't.
Which title do you want? The French one, English one, Italian one? Actually, I can make it all.
Come on, go ahead. Embarrass me with my low levels of English.
Francois Truffaut in Le 400 Coups, 400 Blows, I 400 Colpi in Italiano. Great masterpiece of a great director, one of the ideator of the French New Wave.
Now, we will be covering another one of his films in Stuff We Like Now You Must Like Too in a number of weeks down the road, which is
La Nuit Américaine, The American Night.
Lesser known of his films, but it's quite good. 400 Blows.
Brilliant.
It's probably one of his best known films.
Absolutely.
And rightly so.
The story of this guy who's supposed to be Francois Truffaut when he was a kid, who got many problems with his family. He is a rebel, no? He rebels to the family.
Yes, even the title was a bit confusing for me. It was probably obvious to you, since... Do you speak French? Oh wait, no, I'm the one that speaks French. It doesn't mean that he had 400 falls or he had 400 abuses. That's why he's feeling so low. In French, it means like a little rascal or a little tyrant.
The movie, it's a depiction of the... It's a depiction of the French society.
It's an ad for Paris and French products.
Yeah, but...
As much as I like this film, I bursted out laughing on 3 occasions because every exterior shot is a cliche, is a stereotype of what Paris is meant to be. Alright, first of all, I'll deal with the interior. The interior is miserable and it deals with his family. It's not going too good for anybody, really. It shows schools, which are pretty run down. He's getting a tough time from the lecturers and the other boys there. But whenever he goes outside, it is welcome to Paris. Come on down. Every shot seems to have the Eiffel Tower in the middle of it. This is where I think the stereotypical joke comes from, which is reflected in the Darjeeling Limited, where the view of France is a brick wall. Like,
I'm going.
No. Every scene
we were in the 1959, you know. Was also
Why, was the Eiffel Tower the only thing there?
It was 50 years ago.
And national monuments?
You know, at that stage,
how will
maybe
people know it's France? How will people know it's Paris?
Wouldn't exploit so much
we'll throw
those
up an
icons.
Eiffel Tower here. When they're outside, all the shots were done from a distance. The little boys were only specks. National monuments were gigantic, and product placement was unbelievable. Nick, a man who was totally against product placement, who walked out of Iron Man once. And W recently, but that's because he fell asleep.
Anyway,
back to the film about the product placement. Every single bloody car was a Citroen. A Citroen DS, a Citroen H2CV. Everything was a Citroen. And they were in focus. Other cars weren't in focus. I've noticed this.
Perhaps the actor was in love with the Citroen.
Was paid by Citroen. I'm not the only one who spotted this. There's a website dedicated to this. It's called Internet Movie Car Database. And here it shows there's 59 branded in-focus cars in the whole film. I'll put a link of that up to the website and you can judge for yourself. There's loads.
Anyway, let's come back to the
French film I've seen for the past few years has had a bloody Citroen DS in it. I love that car, but I don't want to see it in a French film.
The
was in The Dreamers?
the movie
Was in Munich?
The movie it's dedicated to André Bazin, the man who invented the theory of auteur. Basically, Francois Truffaut had such big career in making movies. Always recognized the fact that was due also to André Bazin, and this movie is dedicated to him.
I've given the film a hard time, but it's actually extremely good, and it is where a lot of ideas of the boy rascal in movies have come from. It's like, do you remember there was the scene, it was really beautifully done, it was an aerial shot looking down at the boys. They were jogging along the street with their teacher,
Yeah.
and every now and then some of them would disappear. What do they call it in Italy? They call it on the lamp here, or on the hop, or skipping class.
Filone.
Filone. Yeah, there was a beautiful scene where he started off with around 30 kids, and as it went by, he ended up with 2 at the end. It was really nice. It was the first time it was probably done, and been copied ever since.
2 words about the actor, Jean-Pierre Léaud. Jean-Pierre Léaud will be the alter ego of Francois Truffaut throughout all his production. He will be also in American Night.
23 words.
For a movie
So he went to a lot of effort to get this kid who will represent him and his life in every film.
I don't know, but I think it was more a spontaneous thing that they built through their relationship. Because we have to remember that the class that you will see in the movie, all the kids went there for an audition to get the main part.
Sorry, this is my point and Nick is hijacking it, but go on.
No, they were there, it was nice from the director.
He was an amazing child actor.
Absolutely.
He wasn't terrible, first of all. The acting was quite good out of all the boys, especially the main actor. He was a little boy, but his face was of a man who's lived a life.
Really looked like he was going through all the pain. His eyes were mirroring his pains.
Beautiful.
Francois Truffaut himself suffered many troubles. He went in jail himself as well. So he was feeling that there was a need to bring on the screen someone who really could bring to the life his own pain. And then the powerful point of this film, which still is alive nowadays, it's about a kid who is living between a family, a class, robbery on the street to survive on his own. And nowadays, these topics are in wonderful movies as well, such as The Class.
And another film, an Irish film that will be coming up soon called Kisses. We have no idea what it's going to be like, but it looked okay in the trailer.
And there is a strong connection with 400 Blows.
So, as always, in Stuff We Like, Now You Must Like Too, we recommend you go out, you find this, it's easily available on DVD.
Steal the DVD, do whatever you want.
Fine by me, agreed. That's it for today's show. As always, join us in a matter of weeks for the next installment of the Beyond the Exposition podcast, where we will review a Hollywood film.
Art house stuff.
Things we like, now you must like too, and we will deal with all your questions, queries and complaints. If you have any of these question things, you can leave a comment, or else you can email us at our new email address.
questions.pt@gmail.com.
Alright, that's all from me, and all from...
Nico. Ciao.
I never say my name, do I, at the end of them? Say my name. Say my name.
Done.
Yes, okay. Now go out there into the world and see some films. Don't take our word as law. Judge them for yourselves. That's it. See you next week. Ciao. Slán.
Ciao.
Slán. This has been a Major Headache production.
Sydney. My bones were lifting from the chair.